October 1st, 2017, a man tactically assaulted the Route 91 Harvest Country Festival in Las Vegas, Nevada. He set up a nest, including 2 shooting platforms on the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay. When the festival headliner began the final act, the shooter broke the floor-to-ceiling windows and began raining automatic fire onto the unsuspecting crowd about 500 yards away. After 72 minutes of gunfire, there was 59 dead and 500 injured. This is the largest mass shooting in United States history. This was not a man who reached his breaking point and snapped. This was a well-planned attack. This very expensive corner hotel suite was rented months in advance for the weekend of the show. This corner hotel suite provided the best possible vantage point for the shooter, giving him 2 different angles to work with. He built multiple shooting platforms angled out of both windows. If you notice in the videos, although you can hear gunfire and have a clear view of the hotel, you cannot see any muzzle flash. Had his guns been sticking out the window, this would have been easily visible in the night. He was set back in his room, making detection more difficult. The location of the gunman was not known for 20 minutes until his fire alarm went off. One news report stated he had a camera set up at his door so he could see officers or anyone else approaching his room. A Mandalay security officer was shot in the leg when they attempted to subdue the shooter.
No, he engaged security. He shot through the doorway and struck security guard.
Another news report stated that the Vegas SWAT had another call on the far side of the strip shortly before the gunman opened fire. Could this be an accomplice? An intentional distraction? We do not know yet. Something we do know is who this guy's brother is.
He has no police record. He doesn't even have parking tickets, probably.
How did you hear that he was?
We got phone calls. The Las Vegas PD were cooperating with the cops. We have talked to the PD. We talk on the phone occasionally. He calls my mom and talks to her. There's no
mental health issues.
There's no there. Not that we know of.
What about mental illness?
That I know of.
History of mental
Absolutely not.
Do you think it could be?
As far as I know, once again, nothing like that.
Something like that. The father of the Vegas shooter was actually on the FBI's most wanted list as a bank robber who escaped prison and had been officially diagnosed as a psychopath by the FBI. Is there a genetic disorder in play? I guess the apple just doesn't fall too far from the tree.
It had nothing to do with any political organization, religious organization, no white supremacists, nothing, as far as I know. He was a wealthy guy, and he liked to play video poker. He went on cruises. He sent his mother cookies.
And he also committed the largest mass shooting in American history. Maybe it's not just genetics. Perhaps it was a combination of nature and nurture. Perhaps it was being raised in an unstable household. The timeline shows the shooter was 8 when his father was sent to prison, 15 when his father escaped, and then was 26 when his father was finally caught again. What kind of psychological makeup does a childhood like this create? We know that just simply being raised without a father leads to the following. 63% of youth suicides are from fatherless homes. 90% of all homeless and runaway children are from fatherless homes. 85% of all children who show behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. 80% of rapists with anger problems come from fatherless homes. 71% of all high school dropouts come from fatherless homes. 70% of youths in state-operated drug and alcohol institutions come from fatherless homes. 85% of all youths in prison come from fatherless homes. 711% more likely to have children as teenagers are people who were from fatherless homes. The list goes on and on. Now couple that with not only not having a father, but your father being a crazy maniac, and a mother who would have multiple kids to a bank robber maniac. Yeah, that's right. Mom's culpable too. So before all the vile statist trolls from the left come out and start talking about gun control, seriously? The bodies aren't even cold yet. Las Vegas. We are grieving with you. The victims, those who lost loved ones, the responders, and all affected by this cold-blooded massacre. That's fine. Respectable. The crowd fled at the sound of gunshots. Imagine the deaths if the shooter had a silencer, which the NRA wants to make easier to get. What is that? Just a little poke at people? For fun? Our grief isn't enough. We can and must put politics aside, stand up to the NRA, and work together to try to stop this from happening again. Hillary, the American people rejected you. Twice. Go away. You are repulsive. Do you even realize that in the same sentence you said to put politics aside, you then went right into your long-term political agenda? I don't think you realize this. I don't think you realize how you appear to other people. I think psychopathy manifests itself in different ways, and I think Hillary Clinton and many world leaders suffer from a different kind. 7 signs you're working with a psychopath, from Business Insider. They don't take responsibility or blame. Psychopaths think they're the victims, which comes from their sense of entitlement. They speak in grandiose terms, take no responsibility, and have a lack of emotion in their voice. Let's focus in on taking responsibility. In her book and in the media, Hillary has blamed everyone from Barack Obama to the FBI to husbands influencing their wives for her election loss. With all this blame to go around, it never occurred to her to look inward. We would not accept this kind of behavior from our children.
I'm sorry, I've taken responsibility.
No, you didn't. Another trait of psychopaths is that they contradict themselves often and are flippant with the truth.
Everything I did was permitted by law and regulation.
There is evidence that they were extremely careless in their handling of very sensitive, highly classified information.
I had one device.
Secretary Clinton used several different servers, and she also used numerous mobile devices.
My use of personal email was allowed by the State Department.
None of these emails should have been on any kind of unclassified system.
I never sent nor received any information that was classified at the time it was sent and received.
110 emails have been determined by the owning agency to contain classified information at the time they were sent or received.
What, like with a cloth or something?
The email software was removed.
I chose to turn over 55,000 pages of my emails.
This helped us recover work-related emails that were not among the 30,000 that were produced to state.
I'm sorry to make you sit through that, but it is unbelievable the way the media carried her through the election and how she actually blamed the media for her election loss. Another dead giveaway of psychopathic behavior is that their body language is different than what they say.
We came, we saw, he died.
I'm sorry to go off on that tangent, but I'm passionate about some things. One of them being that we shouldn't even take advice on a breakfast order from Hillary Clinton. We were talking about people coming out immediately after the shooting and calling for gun control. Gabby Giffords and her astronaut husband came out to say their piece.
But despite the tragedies in places like Aurora, Newtown, and Orlando, despite daily shootings in communities across America, imagine how much worse last night's shooting could have been if the gunman had a silencer.
Same thing Hillary said. Let's see what old Chucky Schumer had to say.
What Congress can do, what Congress must do, is pass laws that keep our citizens safe. And that starts with laws that help prevent guns, especially the most dangerous guns, from falling into the wrong hands.
You see, we don't believe you, Chuck. We think you want all the guns. Remember when leftist darling Piers Morgan interviewed Ben Shapiro and let his real agenda slip? To take all the guns like in Britain? Oh, and by the way, Piers wasted no time to chime in on the tragedy in Vegas. If a Muslim terrorist had committed this Vegas atrocity, we'd have a new slew of laws in a heartbeat, but because it's an old white guy with guns, nothing will happen. And each time absolutely nothing was done to stop them happening again. When I say nothing, I mean nothing. There has not been a single change to federal gun laws in America as a result of any of this carnage. The NRA, a vile organization with a sinister, deadly grip on America's lawmakers, bought Trump's silence when they backed him during the election campaign. Twitter was also quickly blowing up with people calling for gun control. Cited Facts 2020's accurate graph shows how right-wingers commit way more domestic terrorism than any other group. Bespectacled Cat says gun control must be discussed. The Republicans need to cut the cord they have tethering them to the NRA and work toward a bipartisan solution. That's traditional newspeak for do everything the Democrats say. Eden Clay says, can we now designate the NRA as a domestic terrorist organization? Obviously a nod to Antifa. And what's up with these left-wing people anyway? It wasn't too long ago that Trump was literally Hitler. He's a fascist. Why would they want to give up their guns now? Are they really dumb and wish to submit? Or have they just been full of shit this whole time? All of these responses were within hours of the Vegas attack, and they continued for days after. And it's no surprise. You see, the left has to take advantage of these emotions. They have to take this flashpoint, harness it, and capitalize with legislation in line with their long-term political and cultural agenda. They must act quickly because the entire party is built on taking advantage of basic human emotions. Compassion, confusion, anger, hatred, fear. No matter what the emotion, the proposal is the same. It's always a larger and more powerful state and less individual freedom. There is not a coherent, logical, fact-based argument amongst the whole ideology, and they really prey on ignorance. Their move is to monopolize compassion and demonize anyone who doesn't agree with them as hate-filled. But when was the last time you saw vitriol like this? Senior counsel and vice president over at CBS. I'm actually not even sympathetic because country music fans are often Republican gun-toters. Let's see what she looks like so we don't forget. Well, thank you very much for showing us exactly how repulsive you are inside. Thank you for showing us how compassionate the left truly is. She was subsequently fired. Probably not for being a vile piece of human filth, but for being dumb enough to let her true feelings show. The views and opinions expressed herein do not necessarily represent the views and opinions of CBS. I'm sure they don't. Does this kind of vile hatred from the left surprise you? Do you think this is an isolated view?
You could put half of Trump supporters into what I call the basket of deplorables. Right?
Right.
The racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, you name it.
Oh, I heard you loud and clear. And thank you very much for giving us just a glimpse of how you really feel about Americans. It's becoming more and more clear who the party of hate is every day. And they will continue to use people's emotions against their interests because it's all they have. So why did Vegas happen, and how can we stop it from happening again? I'm honestly not sure if we can. Not unless we start talking about the issue at the heart of all of our problems. You see, our culture has been deteriorating. We are suffering from cultural rot. And in recent years, it has been rotting at an accelerated pace. You know when mass shootings didn't happen? When the world was like this. And by today's logic, they should have occurred. Automatic weapons were legal, there were plenty of gun owners, we even had a much larger percent of the population with what we now call PTSD. However, the entire fabric of our country was built on family, religion, morality, personal responsibility. We still had a very powerful force in play too, a force called shame. Today, these core values are actively being dismantled. It's a three-pronged attack from the mainstream media, the entertainment industry, and the Democratic Party. They are all working together to undermine all that is good, all that made America great. And as long as the attack continues, attacks of other kinds will likely continue. That's why I'm starting this channel, folks, because we need to start considering the real issue, our culture. My name's Tony. Like, comment, and subscribe for more videos.